I work with hundreds of real estate investors throughout the country to fund fix and flips, spec builds, and I have borrowers that are growing into over 1,000 rental units. The common theme when talking to these folks is that they struggle with liquidity. They need more capital. They don't have enough capital, enough liquidity to be able to do more projects, and it's preventing them from scaling. In this video, I'm going to explain how interest reserves can allow you to maximize your leverage and reduce your cash investment in these deals so that you can go and invest more and buy more properties. So smart investors will model out their transactions, their projects from inception to completion to disposition. And what they'll do is they're going to look at the down payment. They're going to look at the loan payments projected over the course of the loan term. But what they're also going to be doing is looking at their working capital position. You as an investor have to be mindful of flow of money and how a loan with a lender like myself will work, because not only are you going to be required to put money down, but when you're getting construction money from a hard money lender like myself, there's going to be a draw process that requires you to complete the work before you get reimbursed. You as a borrower will not just want to meet the minimum, but you'll also want to have a little working capital reserve yourself. And all that goes into your calculations when you're going to decide whether to invest in a project. With an interest reserve in play, you can use the LTV, which we can go up to 75%, to your advantage and fund whatever's available towards an interest reserve to cover your interest payments during the hold, therefore reducing the amount of carry you have to project to have on hand as an investor. The unknowns obviously are scary, and you have to always have that extra working capital sitting aside to protect yourself as an investor. Having an interest reserve in play gives the investor peace of mind that they have at least a certain number of payments set up to be made on your behalf, and that you don't have to have that liquidity on hand, and that you can either use it for construction, but hopefully you're using that difference to be investing into other projects. Maximum leverage doesn't always mean maximum risk. It can also mean maximum capital efficiency. And when you look at using the lender's money to fund your loan payments during the loan term, it can free up capital that you would otherwise be investing in a project where you may expect to get a 25% return. You're able to use the lender's money at, say, 9 to 11% and trade off and use your capital to go out and invest in more properties. So it can't always be looked at max leverage as max risk. It certainly is more risky because you are increasing the leverage by taking an interest reserve on, but you're using other people's capital, using the lender's money, which hopefully is a lower cost of capital than your own, allowing you to do more deals. So let's talk about how an interest reserve increases leverage. Well, it's lender funded. So as long as the LTV allows, which for experienced investors, we're going up to 75% LTV, we're able to fill any gap in the loan proceeds between whatever and 75% with an interest reserve that will make loan payments on behalf of the borrower for as long as the reserve allows. When it runs out, the borrower starts to begin to make loan payments. So what we do here is we'll look at the borrowers going in after repair value. We will understand what the construction budget is and then the total cost of the project, which is purchase price plus construction. We'll make sure that funding 90% of that amount falls below the 75% LTV hurdle. And then if there's any gap between the LTV on an actual basis and the 75% LTV maximum, we'll fill that gap with an interest reserve. So the borrower always gets max leverage. And that's a major competitive advantage for me and for experienced folks who come to me looking to decrease the amount of invested dollars they have in a project. Let's talk about how loans are calculated with an interest reserve versus ones that aren't. And really, it's a modification for us of the total cost calculation. Before, or without an interest reserve, we used to lend 90% of the total project cost consisting of purchase price or as-is value plus the construction amount. It could be an as-is or a purchase of a house and a rehab, or it could be the as-is or purchase of a lot and ground-up construction. It's all the same. We're going to total that up, and then we're going to lend 90% of that. We would put 100% of the construction budget into escrow, and then we'd fund the difference at closing with your 10% coming in at closing plus closing costs. The new calculation with interest reserve is simply going to be us adding the IR to the total project cost and then lending 90% of that number as long as it doesn't exceed 75% LTV. It's a huge difference because we're going to effectively fund your interest carry and all of construction, which means you as an investor are isolated to putting your 10% in at close, and you're effectively able to go through with hopefully as little liquidity as possible through the construction phase and get it sold or refied out. The only negative that I see for borrowers who are looking for max leverage, that are liquidity constrained, is that the interest reserve is funded day one, and we're charging interest on that interest reserve day one. While short dollars, I mean, I would say normal interest reserves are $20,000 to $30,000. It could mean a very low payment, on the interest reserve, but it is something you're paying on day one, like what we're funding at close. With us, you're always funding on outstanding balance. And with an interest reserve in play, we treat it like outstanding balance day one. So it is interest on interest. Again, short dollars, short money to have the payment covered, but it's something to consider nonetheless when looking at your models and determining whether it's a fit for you. Interest reserves are an amazing tool for investors looking to hold on to as much liquidity as they possibly can. It could be to invest in other projects. It simply could be to have for working capital for the existing project. But one way or another, interest reserves are an amazing tool for an experienced investor. And I'm happy to say that here at Asset-Based Lending, we offer these interest reserves. And it's a product that my investors, my borrowers are hopping all over and maxing out each and every time. If you have any questions on interest reserves or just any of the loan programs that I offer in general, which are ground up, fix and flip, we do multifamily repositioning deals. Love to hear from you. Don't hesitate to leave your questions in the comments. And as always, I appreciate the like and the subscribes. I look forward to continuing to make more of these videos, and thanks for watching.